Well, this puts them now they've beaten Duke and Gonzaga already, going into league play, which is going to be a beast. We know that.
Ooh.
So this gives them, and they did it without Lamont Butler, guys, their best perimeter defender. That's part of the reason Nembhard went crazy in the first half. It shows that they have the depth. And again, Mark Pope gives them the confidence. You see guys like Brandon Garrison jacking threes, and Mark Pope doesn't yell at him. He's not screaming at him. In fact, it's the opposite. If they're not taking those shots, he's going to be upset. So look at him. I mean, Pope going crazy. He knows what this win means because, again, the Duke win was a neutral site win. This was a win in a more hostile place, obviously in Seattle.
Matt, I know what you mean. That it's not a shocker to you when you look at the final score. But I got to tell you, it's a shocker when you consider how much Kentucky got run off the floor in the first half. They got run off the floor. It looked like it was going to be blowout city. This is an amazing comeback without Lamont Butler, and Kirk Kriisa went down with an injury.
Couple things, Fana. Couple things. One, let's just talk about the response after the Clemson loss, right? Like that let's start there. Like, to refocus your team, reshift your team's focus. Like, okay, like, we didn't play our best. Let's not overreact. You know, in those types of situations, a lot of coaches overreact. Didn't overreact. Now we got to go on the road, and even though it was a neutral site, and you could hear BBN was in there. Now, there were some Kentucky fans in the building. I mean, when they were going on a run, it got a little bit louder, but it's still a difficult trip to go on. The adjustment defensively in the second half.
Yeah.
The showing the 1-3-1, jumping into man, then switching ball screens, and then all of a sudden, no, we're going to play 1-3-1 now for, 20 seconds in the shot clock. Like, that's not an easy thing to do for your team. Like, that's not easy at all. And they did that, and they completely took the team out of the rhythm. Adjustments. We talked about it off the air. This Kentucky team made adjustments at the half. That is coaching. That is what coaching is. It's not going well doing it the way that we're doing it. The game plan that we came in with in the first half is not working. We just gave up 50 points. We're on pace to give up 100. What are we going to do in the second half to make adjustments, to slow this offense down, to take them out of rhythm? That's what they did, and that's a credit to Mark Pope and his team.
Statement maker. Statement maker because of this. When Mark Pope takes this job, there's excitement level on one side, there's questions on another.
And head scratching. It's like, is this the right guy? It's BBN. Are you kidding me? And he's embraced it.
I think this was the luck. When I put the hat on, when I put the hat on, everything, they took the lead. That was it.
But you know what it is? McCall just said it. In-game changes. Not stubbornness to stay with what was going on the whole time. If they stayed the course, Jeff, they were losing this game by 25. This is an incredible comeback that was rooted in defense, rooted in toughness. Andrew Carr continues to be clutch, and Jackson Robinson comes up big. I just think that when you're laying a foundation right now, Jeff, BBN has big expectations no matter what team it is. This is how you show them that you're the right guy for this job. This is how you show them, Jeff, that you're the right man for this job. Maybe Kentucky was the winner of this whole coaching carousel after all.
It furthers the notion for Big Blue Nation that, you know what, John Calipari leaving and them kind of running him out of town, which is really what happened. I mean, ultimately they ran him out of town into Fayetteville, that it was the best move. It was the best move for Kentucky because it had run its course, and they brought in a guy that's one of their own. And again, listen, here's the one thing I'll say about all this is if you lose in the first round and you're a 1 or a 2 seed, they're not going to be happy. They're not going to be happy. So you need to not only be relevant in the regular season, but you have to be relevant come NCAA tournament time. But this is the first step. Right? Like, you can't be irrelevant and just sneak into the NCAA tournament like Syracuse, did for a few years straight. You have to be both if you're Kentucky. And what Mark Pope has done with a roster that looked good, but not overpowering. Let's be honest. I mean, I was wondering how the pieces would fit, especially in the perimeter, right? You had Lamont Butler, who didn't play tonight, but, he's a little offensively challenged, but terrific defensively. And Kirk Kriisa is kind of the opposite. And, Brandon Garrison, how would he take coming off the bench? Amari Williams, could he adjust to making that jump to high major basketball? Jackson Robinson, could he be a go-to guy? I just think they've got a lot of good pieces. And while Louisville has struggled lately, now they're down a few pieces, Kentucky continues to thrive.
Unbelievable. I mean, when you think about this win, to come back from 18 down, it got as large as 18 in the second half. And Gonzaga shot 54% in the opening 20 minutes. Graham Ike could not be stopped. They looked like one of the best teams in America. But Pope tried some different things. He mixed up his defenses in the second half. They guarded the post a lot better. And they got big-time production. We've been talking about it, Matt. We've been talking about it, Coach. Jackson Robinson. When he follows Pope, we're thinking he's going to be one of the best players in the SEC. And we haven't fully seen it with the bright lights on. We really haven't. Tonight, 18 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, came up clutch. And Andrew Carr, Coach, continues to be beyond his years. That was a big transfer portal pickup from Wake. He has panned out, Coach.
Yeah, no question about it. And Kerr Kriisa, like him, don't like him, love him, hate him, whatever it is. He's kind of the heart and soul of the team with how he plays and the energy, right? Diving on the floor for the loose ball. This team plays inspired. They play inspired for their coach. That, to me, how you want to play, there's a million different ways to win basketball games. You can press, you can play zone, you can run ball screens, you can do a lot of different things. If your team doesn't play inspired and they don't play for one another, you have no chance. You have zero chance. This team plays inspired. They play really, really hard. And I thought one of the most impressive things, too, is when we've seen this Kentucky team play this year, it's okay, man, floor spacing, a lot of passes per possession. The ball's getting raced up. They're going to shoot a ton of threes. Kobe Bryant is going to lead the country in three-point field goal percentage. That game was that was in the trenches a little bit. I mean, it's a physical basketball game. There was some physicality going on in the game, and they found a way to win it. Again, adjustments, changing defenses. 1-3-1, 1-3-1 to man. No, we're going to play 1-3-1 the entire possession. That just showed, hey, Kentucky, they can win different ways. They can win scoring 110 points. They can win possibly having to play a game in the trenches and getting it mucked up a little bit. That was what a win.
Jeff, I mean, you've been doing this a long time. Can you remember? It's hard to remember when it was last. A Kentucky team in a game of this magnitude getting beat as badly as they were, down by 18, looking dead and buried, making the adjustments to the degree they did. Nor alone to Gonzaga. Again, folks, if you're just joining us, Gonzaga's just ended a streak of 175 straight games won in which they led by at least 10 points. It's their first loss of that instance since 2015 to Arizona State. Can you remember a win like this for Kentucky?
Yeah, I'm sure Cal's had one that he's come back from this, but again, they had so much talent. They could do it a different way on you. This isn't that type of team. And also let's not forget they did it against a Gonzaga team that had a ton of retention. And
yes, 81%.
Right. They're old. They had a lot of dudes back. They're playing it in their quasi, home court, somewhere they play, pretty much every year in Seattle. So they had the home court advantage there. But for Kentucky to go in and again, change things up at halftime, stick with it, fight back, get back in the game. Then, by the way, you miss an open opportunity by Brea to win the game in regulation and still get it in overtime, again, against a veteran club with arguably the best true point guard in the country in Ryan Nembhard. Really, really, really impressive.